Welcome, everyone. This is Prime News, and you're listening to Lotro Players News, where we take a look at the latest news on Lotro and hear Lotro players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin,
Hi.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
Werendis,
Good evening, everyone.
Kilabathian,
Good evening.
and Arendis.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, everyone. It's time to head into our news for this week, and we'll begin with the Week 16 roundup put up by Squirrel, where we have the update 26 is planned for week number 17. So that is planned for next week. Note that is planned. Their plans can change. They are still subject to change as usual on that matter. And we'll go on a little bit later concerning the release notes for Bulwers. Actually, we went through that last week. Never mind. Then let's head into another little point that was made, and that is that there seem to be some new carryalls coming in with update 26, perhaps.
If they go live, yes.
If they go live, yes. Assuming, right, and that includes things like housing decoration carryalls for those people who have actually, I think I have a couple characters that have too many housing decorations, so I think I have a vault that's half full with housing decorations. And let's see. And also essences for those who... Do people really carry around that many essences?
Yes, because you never know when you might be able to use them on a piece of gear that drops, and you don't really want to throw them out because they could potentially be, suffice it to say that this would free up about a dozen inventory slots for me.
You can extract them and your alts can use them. Your next one's coming up. So
Yeah.
I have a bunch of space taken up in a vault right now with those. So this would be great.
Yeah. All right. I guess I've been just tossing them. No wonder my gear is junk, right? Then, of course, the third one, instruments for all your minstrels. For all your minstrels and other band players. And also, we had this little thing with the Buried Treasure event. We had that this week, and they made a couple of tweaks on that relating to what you can get out of that. In fact, we had a little tiny update relating to that, which we'll get into in a moment. But that's it for our weekly roundup. Actually, let's get into the little bit on the update right away, because we had update 25.4.5. This was a small update. It was put in there primarily for the treasure hunt. They were hoping to get the update relating to the physics engine update that would help to reduce some of the lag. They were hoping to bring that in, but they found a problem on Bulwer when they were trying it out, and they decided they could not bring that in yet. It was likely to create trouble. Thus, they did a little bit more work on that. They are hoping to bring it in with update 26 then, which means if update 26 comes out next week and they didn't find any new troubles, we may be getting the physics engine updates, and maybe it'll reduce some of the lag that we were getting. I hope it reduces some of that's in Minas Morgul. Yeah. Minas Morgul, I think Terry's been having a lot of trouble there.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. But news and notes on this is the following steed granting items for the Buried Treasure event are no longer unique and will now be account bound instead of character bound. The treasure laden steed, the cave call steed, the treasure laden goat, and the harvest brew goat.
That's great if they'd actually drop.
You're having trouble getting them to drop.
can't get them to drop at all. I've had 7 or 8 of the huge caches, and all I get out of them is tokens.
How rude.
Which, I mean, I'm happy to have tokens if I can barter them for something, but I've got all the emotes. I've got the stuff, I've got everything that you can barter for, except the stuff you can't barter for. Yeah. The only mount you can barter for is the Harvest Brew Goat.
Yeah. Which is also available for Mithril, I think, in the Fall Festival.
Yes.
And the Hobnanigans vendors have exported some of their goods to Erdoine, the cosmetic pets, some of the housing items, the face paint and carrying chicken consumables, and the cook recipes can now be acquired at the treasure fields during the buried treasure event for buried treasure tokens as well as for the Hobnanigans vendors. Now, when you said you had all the stuff you could barter for, is it that you're not interested in the Hobnanigan
for the
stuff?
chickens. I mean, I could get more chickens, but I don't really want the chicken pets. If I wanted chicken pets, I'd be playing Hobnanigans. It is cool that they added them to the buried treasure event for people who can't play Hobnanigans for one reason or another, like you can't get a group together, or you're just really not interested in playing chicken hockey. And it actually takes less time getting all of the treasure tokens, weirdly, than it would getting all of the Hobnanigans tokens. So it actually seems a little easier to get them through the treasure tokens. But what do I know? Because I don't play Hobnanigans, so I don't know how difficult it is to get the Hobnanigans tokens.
Now, carrying chicken consumable items available from Hobnanigans and now from the Buried Treasure event barter will now trigger a consumables deed on use. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, like we needed more consumable deeds.
Yes. The carrying chicken consumables channel will now properly break in combat if you're hit.
So if you're going to run around carrying a chicken, don't get into combat.
Yes.
Because once you use it, you've used it.
Yes. The face paint and carrying chicken consumables now properly stack up to 50 in inventory. Right? And the barter costs of many items on the Hobnanigans rewards vendors have been reduced. The ability to barter for specific chicken tokens has been removed since it was no longer necessary. And patron is still a disallowed character name, but will no longer be filtered when a player's profanity filter is enabled. This came about because in the new area you receive a letter, and the person was saying that he's a patron of the Prancing Pony, and it was giving gibberish due to being filtered out by the profanity filter.
Oh, that's funny.
But, okay, I don't...
Oops.
So, yes, that's...
But...
Yeah, what?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around how the word patron could possibly be profanity.
Well, I guess it was a bug rather than something else, but there are some things that are filtered out for strange reasons, such as needle. But
Poor pine leaf needles.
Yes. So yes, that's always been my little tweak on them. But yes, that's all that there is for 25.4.5. Now let's head into the Lotro Beacon, issue 156. And this looks like something out of a recent raid.
Uh-huh.
Yuck.
Every time I see one of these screenshots, I can't help but think that Sans really doesn't want to do this raid.
Every time I see one of these screenshots, I think, Oh yeah, that's why my character isn't raid ready yet. I remember.
Let's head into the community spotlight. Yiki is raising money for Doctors Without Borders for their Streamers Without Borders fundraising effort through the 21st. You could click on for more details, and you could click in the link to learn more about Streamers Without Borders. Fibro Jedi is put together a guide of the Buried Treasure event, and you could read that. And
actually, can we look at that really quickly, just because there's some stuff in there that I want to just talk about on the air. Since the event is on and it's coming back again in August, like they posted the schedule already, so we know that it's coming back in August, so it's going to be back in 4 months. And if you're not doing this stuff now in the treasure event, please keep it in mind for the future treasure events, and just have some consideration for your fellow players. Specifically the be considerate section. This event, like many others, attracts a lot of players. It also often means logging and relogging characters. As the base camp can get busy, please be considerate of other players. Please do not stand, mounted or otherwise, over the quest givers or vendors, because it can make interacting with them very difficult. And there are so many people that are not paying attention to this, and I really wish they would, because it's only on for a week. If you see someone heading to some berries, don't race them for it. Less of a problem than it used to be, because the berries seem to have either there's more of them or they respawn faster or something. But there's less fighting over them than there have been in previous years. If a player is releasing a cave claw in an area of dig sites, try someplace else. You don't want 2 cave claws in the same area, because either they're going to run to the same one, and then one person's cave claw gets wasted because it's going to go to the second person who got the cave claw there, or it's going to run toward potentially the spot where you are digging. So as a side note, if you see somebody about to dig on a site, wait to release your cave claw until they're done, because if your cave claw goes toward the site that somebody's digging, it stops them from digging, and it's really annoying. Please consider dismounting at the base camp. It can get crowded, boy can it, and anything that helps it load quicker for players is good for everyone. We actually finally got to 2 layers today, because the first day, I really swear there was only 1 layer, and it was full and full and full of people. So many people, too many people. Please also consider limiting or not using cosmetic pets, lore master companions, and captain heralds. They take up space and increase load time, especially the companions and captain heralds, because there's literally no reason for them. I actually am using a tiny cosmetic pet. Like, little ones are fine, but don't use the big ones to get in everybody's way. And please do not use involuntary emote items around quest givers to cause things like mass fainting.
I would actually add number 7 as well, which is not on there. Can we not spar in the area?
That was going on last night, actually. I would add that as number 7 too. There were people that are sparring by the quest givers. Like, you don't have enough lag going on there. Let's have a battle between a runekeeper and a lore master, because that's going to help everybody. So, the event's only on through Monday, so obviously there's not really enough time for people to get all of this message, but it would be great if it could spread for the next round, because it's really annoying when this stuff is going on. Like, you're trying to click on a quest giver and you can't, because there's somebody in bear form, there's a Bjorning in bear form sitting on top of the dwarf, and you're trying to find the ring in the bear. It's not hide and seek with a bear, okay? It's just not.
Yes, so that's a nice list of do's and don'ts concerning consideration in the Buried Treasure event. Now let's get back to the Lotro Beacon, where LZ is organized the 4th annual Kite Walk in Breland on Guahir on April 24th. And you can click for more information about that. There. Let's go around walking kites. Oh yeah, there's our screenshots from last year's there on the link. It's a lot of kites. Then next, we've got Jogo is having a contest on his Facebook page. You could win Lotro points for finding a rabbit. Finding a rabbit?
Specific rabbit, I guess? Maybe? I don't know.
I would wonder about that. Find a rabbit. You look. Okay. Find a rabbit. How it works is you can look for a rabbit in the panorama or in game. Send a PM with a screenshot of the rabbit being selected in the panorama. Remember, you can zoom in for more details. So you have a panorama here. So you can find that, or you can find it in game. And you can follow the page to be twice as likely to win, and like and follow the page for a triple chance to win. Right? So he's apparently fishing for some likes also. Answering in the comments will make you ineligible to participate and may even give you a ban if done with bad intention. Answers only through PM or a private message. You can change your answer at any time until the giveaway is closed, but only your final answer will be considered. Giveaway is closed on April 19th unless there are no new participants for more than a week. Well, tomorrow is April 19th, so
Yeah.
So that's in its final moments. So if you're listening to the podcast version on Monday, then yeah, it is late for that. Let's then head into the kin hall. The Blade Renewed is a raiding kin on Arkenstone interested in helping to train people to raid. The kinship currently hosts at least one Rimmerhat raid per week. And you could click on the link to read more. So now comes the weekly comment. What are the things hobbits are most likely to wait in line for?
Pie.
Pie. Food of any sort.
All right. Hobbits will queue up for pie then.
Hobbits will almost always queue up for some sort of food.
Actually, I would think mushrooms would be more likely. I guess mushroom pies will double it.
But they're not going to
Mushrooms
queue up.
might
They're going
be
to
a
slip down and try to
free-for-all.
steal them.
All those little hobbit burglars.
Well, there is that.
Also, my mother's answer when I read this aloud to her was the bathroom.
Okay.
We don't really talk about it, but they have outhouses in Lake Town. They probably have more sophisticated indoor plumbing options in Hobbit holes.
We could hope so. For fan site news, last week we apparently skirmished irresponsibly.
At least some of us
did.
Yes. Lotro Stream is your stop to find Lotro on Twitch. You could check out recent shows by Wayward Plane, Big Ed Mustafa, and Druid's Fire. And also on Twitch, you could follow Extra ATK Chills and Carleo Master, Play on Arkenstone, and Hopa Joel Goes on a Chase. And over on YouTube, Bloodborne takes a look at Update 26, Gamelio Dan heads into For Hell, and Cybermonkey gets casual. And speaking of rabbits, our screenshot of the week is of a rather dangerous rabbit in Wildermore.
Mm-hmm. Vorpal Bunny.
In Vorpal Bunny, that's certainly the case. And that's by Tormina, who takes a screenshot of the very dangerous Wildemore rabbit. And that is it for our Lotro Beacon. So let's head into our store sales. Terry, what's on sale this week?
Well, we have a weekly coupon, which is a 100% mark acquisition for 90 minutes with coupon code MarkBuff, now through April 23rd. And also through April 23rd, you can get 25% off Virtue Acceleration Tomes, Trait Slots, Skill and Slayer Deed Boosts, and that's it. So nothing great.
Then let's head to our site news, where we're in Middle Earth is Emeralina number 49. Someone snuck that in the last moment.
I was told it was technically posted this week, so we should talk about it.
It was technically posted this week? Okay. What do you mean, 5 seconds before we started?
No, I mean like last Sunday. Like between when we last had LPN Live and when we're now having it again.
Yeah, it is actually a new Emeralina.
Oh, okay. It came in. That's right. It came in before last week's show posted, so that's why I didn't notice it. All right. The previous post was at the Skirmish Camp in Tennedier in the Vendim. Special thanks to Terry Edwin, Pineleaf, and Sans Winda. But which one was the real Pineleaf?
I know.
Yes. So it looks like that this week we have something that looks a little bit springy in there. Looks like somebody's fishing a little bit.
I know exactly where that is, but I will not say.
Yeah, I have an idea where that is too.
I have a guess, but no guarantees that it's right. So I'm going to keep that to myself.
I also think I've got an idea where that could be. I guess I'll have to go and check and see how close I am in being correct in that. So this week we are doing a little bit of spring fishing. Then let's head into our pick of the week. And actually, didn't we already talk about Farbo Jetta Sky Dickberry Treasure?
We did, but I didn't realize that we were going to talk about it. So here it is again. Just I wanted to make sure that it got mentioned somewhere. So yes, make sure to check out that guide. Besides having the kind of layers there, it's got some really good sections on the different activities and things that you can win throughout the event. So make sure to always check those out. Fiber Jedi always has really great guides.
Yeah.
Then let's into our new player question. What's our question this week?
This question may just be a question that I have, but I was curious. The store sales in the beacon mentioned the curator. What does that refer to?
That is an NPC that barters for figments of splendor for cosmetic items.
And the hobby horse.
And the hobby horse.
That's training dummy.
That's the training dummy, the visiting banker, and the visiting barber.
I think they also have the Steed of Shifting Hues.
Yes.
It's the darker colored one. And I know that because my main person actually was like going to check, and then I realized I had more than enough figments of splendor, and I was like, yes, one that I don't have. And so I got the horse. And I've been like riding it around like, look at me, I'm shining.
Anything else anyone has to add concerning the curator?
Oh, where can you normally find him?
Her, is it?
Or her?
The Boar Fountain in Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Boar
Okay,
Fountain
nice.
Bree is the easiest place. There are a couple other places also that you might run into them.
Galtrev underneath the kind of outdoor structure there with that's the other favorite one. I see a lot of people there when I'm running.
Okay.
But is it because Bree being Bree lag wise, is it actually better to go to Bree for the curator or to Galtrev?
Depends on what level you are, I suppose.
Well,
right
yeah,
now,
I mean,
it's kind of one half a dozen of the other because everywhere is busy.
True.
you've got a point there. Then let's head into our weekend Lotro. Calabathian, what were you up to?
Well, first thing is that Celevorn, my Valard character, he continued his catch up through the epic quest. And after a slight problem with the first LI quest that you get that actually teaches you to use the LIs and all that interface, it was a little bit of a I don't know if it was a me thing or just the quest in that I guess that particular part of the quest is really badly done, because I noticed that there are other people that have had a lot of problems with like chapter 10 and 11. For me, because I was Valard, you get your LIs when you're Valard. I mean, they give you some. Well, you have to actually get an LI from a particular person and then level that up through the quest in order to continue the quest. Because after that, you have to find someone and at level 10 to reforge it, and et cetera, et cetera. So if you've gone through it, you probably know what I'm talking about.
It has to be just the right person.
Yeah, and if not, I mean, because you can't go back to because when I went back to Rivendell, and when I put in my ticket and everything, I was told, well, you can't use it until like chapter 13. You can't go, can't do that. Anyway, point being, I had 2 bows, and I reforged the one that I had gotten for the quest, and it did not pop to continue the quest and like say, go back and talk to this person. There was nothing. Matter of fact, I sent in 1 ticket and was told stuff, and then I checked to see if, okay, maybe it actually did, complete the quest, like that chapter of it. But when I looked in my completed quest section, it wasn't, like chapter 10 was not completed, and it should have been. But when I look at my active quests, it was still there was nothing from volume 2 listed. So I don't know what was going on there. But when I went back to Moria to talk to, I can't remember his name, starts with an R. He stands right outside the gates, like, when you go into Moria, that keeps you from going in, right near Ekad Dunan. You have to talk to him, and then that will advance the quest. Well, I decided I would talk to him to see if maybe I could do that. And sure enough, the quest was, I could advance the quest through that and continue. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't just randomly went to check, because, it was a whole big mess. But I finally got through that. And I went into Moria, and I've been doing just the epic quest there. But while in Moria, Celevorn died by misadventure. Because you know how if you've been in Moria, it's all these steep stairs, and you have to like creep up to them and like peek down to make sure that it's actually a set of stairs. Same thing with other things. It's like you have to creep up to it and make sure that it's not like a complete drop off, because you literally will fall to the like middle of the earth, and you will die. Which I peeked, and there were some stairs going down, and so I started down the stairs with him, and apparently the stairs were broken, and I did not realize that until suddenly he was falling. And there is nothing like that clench in your gut when that happens, because you're like, oh no!
Watch out for that step.
Yeah, and I mean, and then it's just like you have fallen to your death in Nud Melik, and then it's like you've died by misadventure. And I was just like, really. And so for the rest of my time there in Moria with him, before I logged off, every single time I would come up to steps, I'd run up to them and I'd stop and I'd like pan the camera. Wait, let me look. Okay, I'm gonna run down them now.
But
I have a question.
That means
Yes.
you're one step closer to a title.
Yeah, I was just say, did it say you had fallen to your death? Did it say that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You're one step closer to that title.
Yeah, there's a hidden deed in Moria where you can leap to your death in various places, and you get a title, the Blind Leaper.
Oh.
And if it's
I
one of
did not
those
know
places that says you have fallen to your death in whatever place it is.
Yeah, this was Nud Melik. Stupid broken stairs, stupid Nunmelek, but I didn't know that there was a deed, so cool. I'll have to go leaping from broken stairs now, just to die, just to see what shows up.
Maybe check the wiki so you don't spend your time going to the res circle so much.
But I also continued Glompla's quest to collect bingo badges and get a distant cousin pet. Because it's Glompla, she needs a distant cousin to be her pet to follow her around as well. And I'm going to rename him, with the last name of Tuk Tuk, because it's like Moon Moon. But and the third thing was that I recently was taking Morkandir treasure hunting, my burg, to get emotes mostly, but also to get chickens if possible to send to Glompla, because of course she's the pet collector and she needs all these nice edible pets so that we can name them, after the Maiar, only with a twist. And so I'm trying to get at least one chicken to send to her through this event. But Morkandir also now has a pet hedgehog that I have called Goth Possum. Goth Possum. Yes. He's a russet hedgehog. His original name was Tater, and I was like, that would be cool, but I need Goth Possum because this is Morkandir, and he's got his he's kind of gothy, so he's Goth Possum, which of course is because a hedgehog has all the little spines. He's all goth, except he's not black. Nothing I can do there. Guarendis, how about you?
Well, this week the Yellow Hunters became homeowners, and that was complete with a makeshift Mumak, which I had a great delight in plopping down in the yard so that Sanswinda would laugh. Guer finished the storyline quests in Dor Amarth and has headed to Lingras to deal with some many-legged mobs, and I want to say a thank you to my kin leader for bringing his captain with me, because the person I would normally ask to go to a really hairy area would be sands and spiders. So yeah, didn't want to do that. She also hit level 115 this week doing that. And since that meant my virtues weren't maxed, I cleared out all the deeds of North Ithilien, except the herbalism ones today. And also during the course of the week, a couple of fun things. I got a couple of new titles, and these are the social titles that, you have to have so many emotes given to you. Guarendis is both the beloved, and she's also the helpful. So thank you to anybody who's ever kissed me or thanked me in game. Sanswinda, what did you get up to today? Or this week?
Well, this week I opened the Minas Morgul weekly quests on my minstrel, and then went roving threat hunting with Maven and Natesh to celebrate, so that was fun. Actually, it was Maven's alt Earthen. And we were joined by Hadronar, a lore master at one point too, so that was a lot of fun. And then I think we cleared 3 areas in about 2 hours, so that was pretty nice. Then I placed the Hrimmel ice sculpture for the first time at the Yellow Hunters' new kin house. And that was pretty awesome. We pointed it glaring down the road. So that was fun. And then, because I have so many mysterious doors, we put a mysterious door in, and I put a spectral visitor in front of it. A sort of fitting warning, perhaps. We went through the door anyway, though, and it ended about like you would expect for level 26 characters. It was awesome.
Messily.
We made it through the gate on our way to Udun, though, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we made it through the Eisenmouth and into the Udun foothold, but then things kind of went pear-shaped.
And I was really proud. I got shot and didn't die immediately. I had 2 morale left. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then on the field trip, I made it to Ethering and started doing some quests that I had not really done before, because we kind of just blazed through there when I went through the first time. So that was fun. Terry, what were you up to this week?
Well, Terry Adwin finished out the Circle of Madness in Minas Morgul. Actually, they technically finished the circle before that. and discovered somebody's secret, which wasn't really much of a secret, except to the Rangers, because this person was smart enough not to actually tell the Rangers what the secret was, because they're terrible at keeping secrets. And then we ran through the Circle of Madness and met up with another friend again, which was hilarious. Certain goblin. Possibly like he's definitely on the list of favorite NPCs. He's probably like number 2 or 3. Because Jajax is obviously number 1. It was still lagged pretty badly, but it wasn't quite as bad as last week. Possibly because Circle of Madness is Morgul and not Whites, so there's slightly less special effects in that circle. We also discovered that there actually are Rangers that are capable of keeping secrets, although the distinction must be made that they are Athelian Rangers, not Northern Rangers. But yeah, there's 2 guys that we know of that can actually keep secrets in the Rangers, which is like way more than we thought, because Rangers are really bad at keeping secrets. Hopefully they can keep this one. But we have it on, we know they're pretty good at keeping secrets anyway, because they kept secret this other NPC, so it should be fine. Sarissa has been having fun at the treasure hunt, but I still can't get the treasure horse to drop, as I was mentioning earlier. So I've gotten like 7 or 8 of the huge caches, and all I'm getting out of them is tokens. So I don't know what the heck they did to the drop rate on the horses, on the mounts, when they were fixing the mounts to make them account wide instead of character bound, but they need to fix it back so that we can actually get the mounts dropping.
How long has it been? You mentioned to me earlier, like, you've been trying to get this treasure horse on Sarissa.
I have been trying to get this treasure horse for years. I would say probably 5 or 6 years I've been trying to get this horse. She's got the treasure goat, and I cannot get the treasure horse to drop. It's really, really irritating. Also, I discovered that filtering sounds is really hard to do when you have in that specific area, because in order to filter sounds, you first have to switch on the record of sounds, which is fine, or it starts out fine because you're kind of in the area with the little campfire by yourself, and it's a campfire, it's maybe a distant ambient bell, and the music that you're trying to filter, because we were trying to filter out that the Thorin's Hall Inn music. It's Melodial 1, I think, is the actual track name. And you get to just where you can drag it over to the filter, and then somebody comes by on a horse, and you have 50,000 different horse sounds. And it's like, oh my god, horse.
I suggested that you just take out like one of the 4 like hoofbeat sounds, so that obviously your horse only has 3 legs.
There's more than 4 though. They're up to like 6 or 7 and there's multiple different types of horses. Like if you go to anywhere busy where people are riding around on horses, and just pop open the filter window, which is Alt R, and then go down to sounds and click record, and it'll start out with just a couple, and then somebody will move on a horse, and you get 50,000 little horse hoofbeats, and it's ridiculous. But we did actually, I managed to talk Mortander through filtering out that Thorin's Hall Tavern music.
Yes, because after about the 19th time of hearing it, I was like, no, I'm done. If I hear it one more time, I'm going to be on my deathbed at age 80. And the last thing I'm going to hear is I float off into oblivion is this song in my head. Now I want to die, okay?
And rather than turning the sounds off altogether in the game, you can just filter out specific bits, which is a nice feature. I actually really love having that feature, because I've finally narrowed down the last of the Devodiad clips, and so I will never hear the word Devodiad by an NPC in the game ever again, because it's filtered across my account. Until I go to a different server, and then I'll have that problem all over again. I also... so here's a handy tip for people who are doing the treasure hunt. If you have a friend who's not particularly interested in getting tokens, or perhaps has alts who doesn't need tokens since they're character bound and not account bound, you can go through the intro quest and get 10 picks, and then do the follow-up quest to get you 2 more. So you basically start with 12 picks. And if you're in a group with this person, the little dig sites pop up at the same thing as treasure chests, so you have to roll on the loot if you've set your loot rules to round robin. So you can basically run along with your friends and have them dig and just pass on the loot, and you can roll on the loot and get their stuff. So I went through a series of my alts that I don't really play and have no interest in getting tokens on, so that Mortander could borrow their luck. And I think I've been through about 10 characters doing that. I discovered that bears can use picks just fine. So I started from the very back of my character pages. So I went with like the alts that I haven't logged in forever, like 2 and 3 years. Because, you've got 30 characters. Sans has more characters than I do, and she actually probably logs hers in more frequently than I do. I don't actually go through all of my dusty characters that often. But, so I actually did log in the bear today. Spare Bear was logged in. And I went from Spare Bear to Down with Bears, so that was a fun contrast. But in the meantime, we did discover that bears can use picks just fine. And it's actually really funny to watch because it's just this hovering pick. Like it doesn't show your bear wielding the pick. The pick just kind of wields itself in midair near your bear.
Your bear should really dig with its paws and consume the pick anyway.
Right? Like, that would be the animation that makes sense.
But apparently they went for Zen treasure hunting, so bears become the pick. Become the pick. You can use it with your mind.
At least it's not coming out of their mouth.
They can't wield bows and shoot arrows from their mouth. They can't ride horses, but they can wield a treasure hunting pick.
I definitely would recommend you take advantage of this now because they might have it fixed when it comes back in August. So that was my week. Arendis, how about you?
Well, I know what I'm doing next week. I'll just say that. I went through I was working my way through the epic story on my main champion, and there's an instance where the wounded elf Asuriel is, and excuse me if I mispronounce that, is lying on a cot on the floor. And you're supposed to, decide whether or not you're going to give her the antidote or the orc Mazog, and there's this whole thing around that. If you zoom in, or at least what I found is that if you zoom in on Asuriel right before you give it to her, she is halfway clipped through the floor. So I don't know what kind of poison she was given, but if she's allowed to go through floors now, I'm wondering if this is a bad thing. So maybe we need to investigate this further. I also discovered that emotes work while being dazed in a cutscene. So if you get, and I don't know if that's the right way to refer to that, but you know how when you say you come into an area with, a Nazgul in a cutscene and shadow pops up and your character starts doing that slow, kind of spin movement and you can't move.
Yeah.
I guess that's being dazed. Emotes still work while doing that. So, of course, multiple Nazgul were slapped in the face, and it was fantastic because you go from looking like just a completely dizzy person to standing straight up, smacking someone with ferocious intent, and then going back to being... It's pretty great. I recommend trying.
I cannot wait to get to that point with Glompa and her fish.
Oh, yeah.
Nazgul are getting fish slapped.
Oh, it's amazing. And I mean, it goes from, the very subtle spin to where, and then they'll stand straight up and then, purposefully slap and then go back to spinning. So if you have a hotkey bound to it, which I don't, I was having to type it all out into the chat. But if you have a hotkey bound, you could just stand there and basically negate the effects of the... But yeah, so I had some fun with that. And also went warging one night this week. Pine Leaf. Yeah.
I'll begin with my Stout Axe Minstrel, where I reached level 60, and then by some miracle, I very quickly after that reached level 105.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
Valor involved at all?
Yeah, maybe there was one. This is the character I've been saying all along that I was planning to Valar at some point, and I finally got around to it this week. I valored the character, then I went to the auction hall to see if there was anything better because, yes, they gave me 3 boxes of LIs that I could create
Yeah.
third agers, but I thought, let's see if they had anything useful. I was seeing if I could find any second agers in the auction hall, and instead I found a pair of first agers. So I got those. So now I have a first age sword and a first age book for my minstrel. Of course, I also had this is the character that I got a ketchup box for. I can't remember the circumstances in which I got that, but I have a ketchup box on that character, so I managed to place in a large number of scrolls in there. So I think I got a pretty decent cap on there right now, though of course now I got to get the XP in order to fill in all those levels that I've unlocked. So that's obviously going to take me a little bit of a while. I'm currently in the waste where I am doing the quest that will help me to unlock Mordor. And I'm hoping that perhaps maybe sometime next week, maybe I'll be able to peek inside of Mordor and see about my little homecoming. Though I must say that I don't exactly have a home that one will really want to come back to. This is, of course, Stadak, so
Right.
yeah. Then on Friday Night Fights, we ran Storm on Mythedrus and the Battle of the 21st Hall. And we managed to go the night without any wipes, which is quite an achievement for Friday Night Fights. And then on Bull Roarer, I had to go and test out one of the items that was noted in the release notes, and that is that they buffed up Eladan and Elrohir.
Oh, for Fort of Bruinen.
Yeah.
And the verdict is?
It looks like the melee one, which I think is Elrohir, that one is, I managed to, they did buff up that one, something like 25% or something like that. I have to double check on that when it goes live so I get the final numbers on it. Well, the other one was only about 5%, but I think they might have buffed up his damage instead of his morale, perhaps, for that one. So perhaps they'll have a better chance of surviving in the future. We could only hope.
Yeah.
This week in News Beyond Lotro, we have another poem by Naren Lore Master, The Dead Marshes, The Stagnant Meres, The Marshy Stink. Small creatures in the shallows sink and struggle for their life helplessly, then drown in quagmire soundlessly. This once was a vast battle plain. The last alliance marched to gain the victory in the black land of Mordor, severing from the hand of Sauron the one ruling ring. So many died this end to bring about. High elves lie side by side with orcs and men and trolls who died in numbers uncounted to swell the dead, lying just where they fell. Dead water seeped in over time from Mordor. In the accursed clime the marsh expanded day to day and rotted all good land away in morass, and false quicksand replaced what once had been honest land. During darkness flames come alight as green flickers. These flares invite rare travelers to think a lamp. They follow through the bogland damp, while listening to each rustled reed that whispers that the dead have need for new victims which they desire. Flee the false lamps of green fire. These corpse candles the undead carry to lure their quarry, sped to quick quicksands, pits, and plenteous there, to be dragged down, and without air, expire twixt skeletons that grin at each new victim that they win. To swell the ranks of corpses dread beneath the marshes of the dead. The dead marshes. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun place to go. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support Lotro players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money will be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. If you wish to support without joining Patreon, you could send the funds to Draculetta at email drac@lotraplayers.com. We currently have no emails this week. So if you'd like to contact us, you can send a podcast at LotraPlayers.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, LotraPlayers at LotraPlayers, Arendis at Arendis, Piney at Piney Needles, Sanswinda at Sanswinda, Terryadwin at Terryadwin, Guarendis at Nidishell, and Calabathian at Calabathian. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Loach Players News. You can choice for our shows at loachplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, and this is Pug News reminding you to socialize responsibly.